choreography tricks. Sipping on the brew while we jump, flip, and kick. Katie on the mic, shimmy, shake all night. Dance.
Welcome to Coffee and Choreo. I'm Katie.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Cassidy.
Today we're talking about coaches' boundaries and how that should look with parents, how that should look with athletes, and everything else. And
I guess we can start with our boundaries with athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I know that gets kind of hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In more of like a friend sent situation. A lot of our kids, we're not old people, so sometimes I feel like we can still relate to our athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And our athletes do come to us for a lot of their like personal issues, and of course we're always there for them, and we're always gonna like give them advice, give them a hug, like if you need anything, just let us know, like it's gonna be okay. And so sometimes in a sense they like see us as their friends, so we have to remind them that I am not your best friend, but I do love you.
I think it was their second season, maybe. Someone said something to me and I was like, whoa, I am not your friend, I am your coach. And they were like so upset.
They're,
You
like,
thought that it was like, you know, like little kids when it's like, I'm not your friend anymore, and then it's like the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's almost what it is like for these teenagers.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm 25, you're 16, like I love you, but I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would reel back that statement like a little bit, because a lot of these kids do end up becoming like family to us, because we've had them for so long, or I employ them, and then you know they work with me, and then it's just a different
Babysit your
dynamic.
kids.
Yeah, babysit my kids. I think half of them, their mamas even tell them, yeah, they're your other kid, and I'm like, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know the amount of times that parents have said, like, when they step foot in this gym, they're yours, not mine. Like, that is your daughter. Like, those are your kids. And so sometimes I do feel like with the younger ones, it's like a second parent role, or like an older sibling that yells at you when you're doing something wrong all the time. And I will say, like, yes, I feel like we foster good relationships with our kids. Like, I don't think our kids despise us in any way or hate us or anything like that. Like, I feel like every single one of those kids, if something was wrong, they would know, like, oh, if I call Cassidy or Katie, like, they're gonna help me. But sometimes, especially the older kids, they'll start telling stories, and we're like, whoa, I don't need to know any of that information.
Yeah.
Like, so glad
None.
you're so comfy with me, but let's reel it back.
Like, I love you, but no, this is not a sleepover. Like, we are not having a sleepover. You cannot tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. You better go over there on the opposite side of the gym, and you can talk to your friends about it over there. But
Like, we're glad they feel comfortable with us, but it's hard, that boundary. And the respect boundary. I had a conversation with my teens like a couple weeks ago about the respect, because they do see me as their equal and their friend. I wouldn't say
You're
equal.
like the big sister
Yes.
that they kind of want to push around. But,
Yes.
you know.
They know how to push my buttons, and we have fun, but we had a conversation about respect and boundaries with them, because there's usually one will do it, and then one that never did it started doing it. And so I was like, hold up, stop, we're gonna talk about it. And I want them to be able to come to me with everything, but we also have to have that boundary and that respect of I'm your dance teacher, and you have to respect me like you respect your teachers at school and your every other adult.
oh, I don't know how many times, coming from someone who taught for 5 years, like, I'm like, would you talk to your teacher like that at school?
Oh, how many I say that like 20 times a week.
Would you act like this, like when I'm talking and you're over there playing off and goofing around? Would you do that at school?
And then I get I'm homeschooled. And I'm like, would you talk to your mama like that?
Was
Right?
that Ellis?
Yes.
I don't have a teacher.
I don't like my teacher. Your teacher's your mom.
But it's like I get that. Like, they think when they're at the gym, like, they're comfortable, which is great. I want them to be comfortable, so then they act more like themselves, or like how they would act at home versus than what they would act like at school. So sometimes, yeah, they push those boundaries and they push our limits. I mean, last week, our senior team, I was just in a bad mood that night. Let's just be real. And they were just not doing very good. And I was just very irritated. And then I bit my tongue when the athlete said it, but like I was trying to play music. And then one of the athletes was like, girl, come on. And I was so close to being like, call me girl and see what happens. But I bit my tongue and I didn't say anything. But then later in the night, we had an issue with an athlete and it broke loose. And so when that athlete was handled, I like snapped my head and I was like, and if y'all call me girl one more time, I was like, I held it in so well until the end of practice. And I was like, no, I'm done. But like, that's what I'm talking about is they get so comfortable with you. They think they can like be like, bro, like, oh, I don't want to, or girl, or like, they'll like get like sassy with you. And I'm like,
And
stop.
Finding-
Like, just stop.
I mean, I'm still working on it. Finding that middle ground between like you want it to be a safe space, you want them to feel comfortable here, but also you want them to respect you without, I don't want to scream. I don't want to yell, but I'm not telling them you have to call me ma'am and you don't have to say all that,
No.
but like, don't say bruh. I don't
Yeah,
like that.
I don't even think half of my athletes call me Coach Katie. It's just
Katie.
Yeah.
or Cassidy or Cass.
My older ones,
you know?
started calling me Caitlin, which is completely fine, but still, like, don't say that. Don't
Well, that's
say,
like, you know, that the TikTok, like, hey, Coach Caitlin, or hey, Coach Cass,
Yeah.
and you have to say their name. Bet wanted to do it the other night, and they were like, Coach Cass, we don't call you Coach Cass. Can we just say, hey, Cass? And I'm like, God, y'all don't call me Coach anything. Like, it literally is like Cass, Katie. Like, they don't ever put the coach in front of it unless it's, I feel like a newer kid. But, like, the kids who've been with us for a while, they just call us by our first name. There's no coach. And I'm totally okay with that.
I actually would prefer that kind of relationship with athletes where it's, you know, we want a family atmosphere, and that, you know, to us, that's how me and Cass know each other is because of cheer. You know, cheer ended up being family for us. So, you know, I want our kids to have that, but they also got to understand, like, I'm not your sister.
Yes.
Like,
There are still
there's
boundaries.
still
I am
boundaries.
still
And I
your
think for
coach no matter
us,
what.
that those boundaries have been more clear, but we're also an older program. So for you, like your dance program, you know, they're still in the phase of, okay, we're going to push our boundaries and see how far we can get. And, you know, yeah, so I think our athletes just have clear expectations because they know if they say something to me, I'll be like, get on the line.
Yeah.
It used to be let's go outside and run, but I can't make them run on the highway now.
I think it's funny because sometimes we'll be in good moods, but then they do like that one or two things of pushing the boundary, and we turn in from nice coaches to mean coaches, and they're like, "Damn, what happened to you?" And it's
You
like,
called me bra.
you, you pushed my boundary. I told you to stop doing something. You kept doing it, so
Yeah.
pushed my boundary. Don't do that. I know. Sometimes I feel like they forget, like, we are your coach.
Yeah.
You're rolling the eyes. You're sassing back. All that crap. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we can goof off and have fun with each other and have a great relationship, but at the end of the day, I am your superior. I am your coach. Like, you still have to respect me.
Yeah.
Like, even if I'm wrong, you got to show me respect, and then let me tell you I'm wrong later on when I figure it out.
Right.
Yeah. And I think what's worked for me, at least, and this is my own personal boundary, like I said, I have probably like harder boundaries than most coaches. Just because as a gym owner, I just feel like I need like a harder line, because when it's time to be the bad guy, I'm the bad guy, you know, kind of thing. Usually, like, when kids text us, I'm throwing their mom in the group text. Like, I don't let them text me by themselves unless it's, sometimes teenagers just do it, and then I'm like, well, I don't have a choice.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times they tried to add me on Snapchat. One kid tried to add me on Snapchat throughout the entire year, and I was like, dude, I'm not adding you on Snapchat.
Yeah.
And she finally gave up after like the 10th time that I deleted it.
I
don't add
any-
them on
I don't
Instagram.
have any
If
of
they
the
are on
kids
my
on Snap.
Instagram,
Yeah.
I don't know how you got there, but yeah.
So
I think I
don't-
have them on Facebook. I don't really care about Facebook.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
use
I have
it.
a few on Facebook, but I don't have any on Snapchat. But I get to stalk everybody on Instagram because of the Aces account.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more
But
like
I think that helps
I get
them
to
keep
catch
that
them in the
boundary
act.
too. Is that, you know, here we can be friends, but like outside the gym, like
I
I'm
don't,
not your friend.
I don't follow them on TikTok either, but they all follow me.
Yeah.
So
Like I let them follow me, but I don't follow them back.
yeah,
kinda
don't follow
thing.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think with athletes, and it's mainly our older kids
Yeah.
that we have the boundary issue. Every now and then it'll be the younger ones, and it is because they kind of see us as like an older sister type thing. I mean, our younger kids that are like 8 or 9, they'll just come up behind us and give us a random hug while we're coaching, and so like we know, like we have a relationship with those kiddos, but then sometimes we get onto them and they just stare at us like this, and it's like, I am not your sister. Don't give me that face. Like they give you that you're my older sister face. I don't have to listen to you, and you're like, like I'm your coach. Like listen.
I think also once you start seeing people so much throughout the week, it kind of wears down those.
It's the kids that
boundaries.
live in the gym.
Yeah.
The kids that are there every single day. They get more and more comfortable with you, so they think they can like push it a little bit further.
Yeah.
And then when you get onto them for it, they're like utterly crushed and just baffled that you even yelled at them.
Mean to me.
And it's like, well, you annoyed me. Stop.
Yeah.
I had one of my older ones realize what she was doing. She had showed me this video that she saw on Instagram, and it was like she could relate, and it was like the girl, that'd be a funny TikTok for us to make, and she was like talking to her dance teacher, and she was like, hey, like, you want to hang out this weekend? And then she realized, she was like, you're my dance teacher, just kidding. like she realized
That's
it,
funny.
and she said it, she showed it to me, and she was like, she's like, this is so true. And I've had them in class realize too, like they'll be talking to me like you said, and you're like, stop, like I don't want to know
Don't
that.
even hear that.
Yeah.
Because then like you almost feel like you know this information, and it's like, does your mama know that?
Exactly.
Like, and that stinks, because it's like I feel like I need to say something, but at the same time, just don't tell me. Like, what
Yeah.
is it?
Anytime, I'll be real. Like our
Bliss
senior
is
team.
what is the word? It was like, ignorance is bliss. Don't
Yes.
tell me.
Yeah. And I'll be real, it's like with the senior team, you know, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but like they're 17, 18 years old. They do go to parties. And then like I'll even hear like a snippet. I'm like, no, please, I don't want to know, because if I know, then I'm telling your mom.
Yeah,
And they're
and
like,
we tell them.
And I'm like, yeah, no, I'll tell your mama.
Yeah, we tell them straight up. I don't want to hear any of your stories, because if I hear that you did something you're not supposed to do, I will tell your parent.
And then I think that's the biggest. They're like the biggest betrayal to them. They're like, oh my God, you would tell my mom? And I'm like, yes, I'm obligated to.
Yeah, it's like, we love you,
a
but
safety
your
thing.
safety
Yeah.
comes first. I'm sorry.
But we have told them many times, like if you're at a party and you're drunk, or your friends are drunk and somebody's trying to drive, like I will
Call
come
us.
get you. No
I said the
questions
same
asked.
thing.
You
Yeah.
call us, we will be there. I've had an athlete, her parents were going to be out for the weekend, and she was going to go to a party, and before she had left the gym, she had told me and was like, if you get a call from me in the middle of the night, it's probably because I need you. And I'm like, okay.
Cool. Keep my phone on loud.
I had my phone on loud all night long, just in case. And then in the morning, I didn't have anything from her, so I sent a quick little text like, all good? All good.
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
did that with a bunch of our Smithville girls after prom, because I know they
Yes.
were going out, and I texted them all in the morning. I'm like, "Are we alive?
we all
We
good?"
have practice."
But yeah, I think I do think me and Katie do have great relationships with the kids. I think every single kid knows that if something was wrong, or if they needed help or whatever, that they can easily call us. I mean, we had a few kids last year got in a golf cart accident with a actual like vehicle,
Oh wow.
and
I think Cassidy was like the second phone call,
yeah.
Oh wow.
besides their mama.
Yeah, they called their moms. One of their moms didn't answer, so they called me next.
Oh.
And I was hesitant to answer because it was the day after tryouts, and we had a 24-hour rule that you were not allowed to talk to us about placements for 24 hours. And I was like, okay, but this is the athlete, and I know she wouldn't call me.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
Mhm.
So I answered it, and it was just like, Cassidy, we're in the ambulance. I'm like, whoa, like, slow down. And they explained, like, you know, we're on the way to the hospital, and it's just because they were so scratched up, they had to get skin grafts and stuff and whatnot. But it was 3 of them, and so they basically were just like calling, like, and I was like, do I need to
Someone they
meet you there?
trusted,
And they're
yeah.
like, no, like, so and so's mom is gonna meet us there. We just can't get a hold of the other moms, but we want to let you know, and da da da. And I'm like, okay.
That's scary when
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know how old they were, but when you're a teenager and that's like a real life event, you don't know what to do.
Yeah, they're
Especially when your mom doesn't answer and you're
I
like,
think they're all 15 and 16 years
yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like I was literally just there. You know?
Me too.
Yeah.
Especially
I was gonna
since
say it
Especially
doesn't change.
since- yeah,
Sometimes I'm
when
like,
you're
I could do
married-
that, and I'm like, no, I can't.
and
Yeah.
when you're married to your high school sweetheart, you
Yeah.
still feel
Young.
like I mean got with Chad when you were what, 12?
I was like 14, a freshman. Was
And
I
then
14 as
I
a freshman?
was 17 when I met Riley, just turned 17. So sometimes I still feel like a teenager because I'm still with the guy I met
Yeah.
as a teenager.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with athletes, I feel like it's pretty healthy,
Yeah.
honestly.
And with talking about the boundaries, like there's definitely pros and cons to us being like in our 20s and doing this, like just the job and being relatable to them.
Yeah.
I feel like we know what's in. I feel like we.
See, I feel like that's where it became a pro. Like,
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's a
It's
pro.
pro with
Yes,
the
we know what's
kids.
in
Yeah.
and stuff, but then it comes to a con when it comes to like
The parents?
The parents.
Oh,
yes.
wait, hold on.
yes,
My biggest con.
what I was thinking.
Hold on, I just have to say my biggest con of this is that I use Slay on a daily basis.
I love your bless. I love when you say bless.
Oh,
Bless.
Yeah.
I almost said
mine
that earlier when we were
lately
talking
has
about the
been-
presents, but I didn't want you to think I was making fun of you because I wasn't. I just really like it.
No, it's like after we hang out with all these kids, like all the time, like I started saying
say
Slay,
these
and I was like, ew, why did I just say
Yeah.
that?
Well, like mine
Or
has
like
been
walk
Nar.
in, and I'm like,
throwing up
oh.
peace signs. I've started doing that. Like
Throwing up what?
peace signs. Caleb, stop. That looks awful, but yes, no.
So
Yeah,
not only
parents-
do we rub off on the kids, they rub off on us.
Oh, Riley's so annoyed with me because I'm just always like, nar.
Oh, and I'm
Nar.
constantly like, wait, where did you get those shoes?
And toes are no longer toes; they are dogs.
Oh my gosh, I
But
can do
if you're under the age of 13, they are
Hold on.
puppies.
Hold on. Because I know my older ones listen to this and they say, what is that one word? It's gyat.
Oh, because Cass got a gyat.
Yes.
Apparently.
And they'll make fun of me.
That's
for
the
it,
only
too,
way I
'cause
know
I'll
that. I
start
think one
saying it.
practice, they came up to Cass and they're like, "You got a gyat." Me and her both like, "Oh,
What?
what is that?"
Yeah. I know the other night, one of our
Which ones
12
we
one
know.
of our 12-year-olds, she was flying in pyramid, and I had to go base her because she knocked out her base. So then I had to go be her base. And she was like, she said something like, "Yeah, it's hard to get me up with my gyat." And given this child is a stick, she ain't got no gyat. And I was like, "Be quiet." And then we started putting her up, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're so heavy. It's that gyat you've got. It's so heavy." Everyone just busted
Mind
out
you, this girl
laughing.
looks like my finger.
Yeah, like she is a stick, but everyone, it was on a senior team, so all these older kids are dying laughing because this 12-year-old was saying that she has a gyat, and I'm like, oh, child.
Yeah, gyat sus. They
Oh
say
my
that a
gosh.
lot. Rent free.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that kills me is when the kids say LOL.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you saying
Are
LOL
you
instead of
Laugh
laughing?
out
Just
loud,
laugh.
please.
And they're like, LOL.
You know,
SMH. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up.
Stop talking in.
No.
I am. We are the OGs for that.
the
Okay.
LMAO, that one. I'm like, is your ass falling off?
No more gyat for you.
Gyat.
They're all going to kill us.
You
for
and
this.
Chad say LOL a lot.
Oh, but that's like sarcastically. I'm like, LOL,
When you
Chad.
say LOL to me, you're being sarcastic.
Probably.
I was texting Chad because I needed a new remote for those lights, and he said that he was like, I gotta find it. LOL. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I wasted your time.
Oh, you're talking about in text. No, we just use that as like a comma.
Oh, got it. Okay, so text, you're not being sarcastic. Got it.
Yeah, no, if you say it out loud. But like the kids literally say it out loud.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, why are we saying LOL out loud? Just laugh. If it's not funny, laugh.
I've had kids who are like, "Are you mad at me?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, when I told you I was gonna be late, you just responded okay." And I'm like,
I've had that. No, when
Okay.
They get
like, it's a okay. What was I supposed to say? She's like, "You could have done an emoji or something." And I'm like, if I was mad, I would have said, "You're running when you get here."
Yeah.
Like,
I've had that same conversation with someone that she was an athlete, then she became an instructor, and she was like, were you mad? And I was like, no. She was like, but you just liked it. Like, you just liked the message. I do that all the time. Or heart it.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, you could have responded. You could have said, like, did an emoji or something. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I was so confused.
Y'all are
I've
so
had
sensitive.
coaches do that too.
Yeah. Like, I'm not mad. Like,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, we got things to
know.
do.
If Katie
Yeah.
responds to me, okay, I'm just like, she's probably using her watch. And I just don't.
Oh, for sure.
And I just,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, if Katie's mad at me, she'll tell me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, athletes, they rub off on us and they sometimes push our boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
But us being younger is a pro. We know we're very still in the worlds of dance and cheer. Like we
Yeah.
know, like cheer wise, we know all the big name gyms and teams and the new things going on and the new type of choreo, the new type of stunts, just everything. Like we're very up to date. Me and Katie
Yeah.
are very up to date when it comes to cheer, and so I'm sure you're the exact same way when
I
it comes to
am.
dance.
Yeah.
And so
It's a huge plus.
huge plus.
Huge plus.
But when it comes to parents, our age has, especially in the beginning, I feel like it's getting better
Well, because we're getting older.
because we're getting older. But also, I feel like
Oldies.
we put our foot down with our boundaries with parents. That I think a lot of parents are starting to learn what they can and cannot
Yeah.
do
Mm-hmm.
/ say with us. But in the beginning, it was very hard to be 23-year-olds,
Yeah.
you know, trying to like have these successful teams. We had 3 teams, about 30-something kids. So I was 30-something brand new mamas who kind of wanted to tell
But
us what to do.
yeah, but half of them also came from like previous gyms, you know. And I love the majority of these moms, so don't think
Oh,
I'm
yes.
talking bad if you're.
There are
listening to
OG
this.
mamas.
Yeah, they're OGs. But in the beginning, you know, I know people just wanted to help, but they were always offering their 2 cents. And I'm like, listen, I understand you came from XYZ gym, but I don't want to be
Don't wanna be like
XYZ
that.
gym. You know, I don't want to do things that way and stuff.
So, that one day I saw y'all in the lobby and y'all were going over score sheets with the parents. Y'all always do that?
Yeah.
After competition.
Yeah. But it's been
We used to
it's
not
been
do that.
hairy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's been hairy. We've like previous seasons we let parents in on it, but it didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
But
See, that's what
because-
I
but
would
that's
fear.
also partially our fault because we didn't set clear expectations. So like this time when parents were sitting in there, like I made it known, like you can ask questions for clarification, but you're not going to question me as
Yeah.
a coach
Yeah.
because a judge made a comment, you know,
Right.
kind of thing.
Because
Right.
I think sometimes parents, I mean, if you didn't grow up in the sport and you don't coach the sport, you don't have the full knowledge of, so like if a coach or if a judge makes a comment about something, it's so biased that
Yeah.
the next judge at the next competition could like that. Like, you
We
know what I
had this
mean?
our
Yeah.
past
Like,
competition. We did a basket, and they said you need to stand up quicker out of the basket. And we have an action shot of homegirl literally standing straight up
Right
out of the
above her
basket,
base's
right above her
hands.
best. Yeah, the hands and like, and I'm looking at this picture. And I'm like,
how could she stand up quicker?
how can she stand up quicker? Like,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. And there, I mean, going back to like, what we do for a living, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And so, like, judges' comments, sometimes I feel like if they ask, like, I'll always let them in on it and they can hear the judges' critiques and stuff. But sometimes I fear someone will say something and I'm going to overthink it and I'm going to feel like I need to change because there's some things judges will say and I'm like, I'm not going to listen to that because
Yeah.
like I don't agree with it. Little things like this past competition, there was a comment about them scooting more forward to be closer to the tap mics. That is a really good critique. Like I'm absolutely
Apply.
doing that. There were some that I was like, I don't agree with. So I hope the parents would respect me enough to know that like I promise at the next competition. I mean, I don't want to promise that a judge might not say something about
Yeah.
that part of it, or they might, and then we might rethink it. But I
Right.
just want that respect from the parents, knowing that let me do my job because
Yeah.
I promise that like I've done this and I know what the judges want and what they're thinking, and like I'm not setting up your kid to fail. I promise.
I think the biggest thing for us is when we're looking at score sheet, we'll go back and look at the video and see if that comment was like justified.
Right.
You know, sometimes we get comments and we're like,
ew, where?
Like, I'm
Where? Where
slowing
do
the
you see
video
that?
down, and I'm
Mhm.
like,
No,
Yeah.
nope, that's not
Yeah,
right.
and there's
that's
some,
fine.
and I was like, were they watching the right dance? And it's
Yeah.
like, that was not, that
And
did
then
not
there's
apply.
other comments where you're like, yep, I
Yeah.
agree. Yep, I agree.
How many times did I say that?
And so, yeah, in the beginning, it was a lot, like Katie said, it's a lot of parents putting in their 2 cents and kind of telling us how we need to run practices, teams, gym, whatever. And it's like, okay, but you also need to trust us. This is our first year. Like, we've got to build the culture that we want.
Yeah.
Not that you want, not that other coaches have had at other gyms. Like, me and Katie came from the same gym. Like, and then Katie went and worked at a different gym in Midland. So, like, we've had past experiences of what we like, what we don't like, what we want it to be. And yes, there were times where, you know, Katie had to put her foot down and be like, no, you will not tell me what to do. Like, we can have a very calm and nice discussion about, like, what you think maybe we could do better in, or if you have any nicely worded suggestions.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sometimes, you know, parents cross the line. I know, well, I've had a parent cross the line at competition, and I kind of had to put my foot down because talking about other athletes, I can't handle. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
And so, but then she had said, like, well, you and Katie are so intimidating. No one ever wants to, like, I'm like, intimidating? You could be our mother. Like,
Yeah.
but, you know, saying that we were just intimidating and it's our way or the highway. And I'm like, no. But guidelines or code of conduct and a contract that you signed, yes, we will put our foot down on that.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
we're not
think-
going to bend it for you.
And I hate the comment of, like, it's your way or the highway. And I'm like, well, you know, to a degree, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's my
sorry. It's my business.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I've done a lot of training. I've put in a lot of, you know, classwork and learning from other people about how a program should be run. And it's, you know, from when I first opened the doors to now, it is a wildly different perspective than I would have thought on how to run a cheer gym. You know, there's so much more to it. So when people are like, you know, I have some people who are like, you need to be a drill sergeant. And then I have some people who are like, oh, we're
Just for
going to be
fun.
gone for a month. And I'm like, you know, there's just so much to it and so many different opinions that to say it's my way or the highway, like, kind of, in a sense, you know, it kind of has to be that way.
Yeah.
I
Someone
can't
has-
allow
yeah.
the opinions of 300 different families, you know, rule my mindset. Like, I can't do that. I'd be so wishy-washy. I'd have no program.
We had the conference that we went to this summer. We talked with these 3 owners of a gym that we admire and we love them. And my favorite story that he told is, like, they have strong parent boundaries. Like, the parents should know the boundaries when they can and when they cannot talk to them.
Yeah.
And my favorite story was it was like the week of competition, and he was getting out of his car, and there was a parent waiting right there as he stepped out of his car.
No, don't do
And
that,
he
y'all.
literally looked at her, and let's say her name's Susan, and he was like, Susan, this is not the time, this is not the place. You know when you can talk to me. We are not doing this right here. And he was like, I am going to practice. And he said, the mom was like, you're right, I'm sorry. Like,
Oh, I'm dreading that
And
day.
it's
I feel
like-
like
I
it's
think
gonna
I've
happen.
gotten good at saying, like, I've had parents, like, bombard me at random times. So, like, we had our showcase, and I had a parent come up to me, just trying to, like, ask me questions about her daughter and stuff. And I'm like, oh, you know, we can set up a meeting if you want to, but right now I can't discuss this. And they're just like, okay. And then just go about their business. But, you know, I think our parents are starting to learn, but me and Cass have had to learn the hard way, too. You know, we've had one of the stories I hate, and I think is what ruined it for me and made me realize that I got to have strong parent boundaries, is that we were at a cheer competition, and a bunch of us were just happened to be staying in the same hotel. I think it was in, like, Fort Worth or something. And they had, like, this rooftop patio area that had fire pits, and, like, everybody was just hanging out. Well, we were up there with the kids, and then, like, a bunch of the parents just ended up out there too. I mean, we were done with the day, and everybody's just looking for something to do.
And it was the people who were staying at the hotel.
Yeah,
Not
and
everyone stays at the
and I
same
even
hotel.
made like a little Facebook post talking about like how much I loved it, like on my own personal page.
Yeah.
Like how much I loved it, getting to hang out with the families and stuff. And we had, oh my god, we had one person quit because they were like, we weren't invited, and I was like, there is no invite.
Yeah.
And she's like, you have favorites, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
The
Like, we
coaches weren't
just
even the first ones out there.
Yeah.
It was parents and athletes.
and we kind of crashed their party,
Yeah,
and then we all
Katie
just
and Chad
hung
went
out.
down, and they
Yeah.
called me and Riley and was like, "Hey, y'all back at your hotel room? Okay, well we're out on the patio if y'all want to come join." So then me and Riley came and joined. Like,
Yeah.
it was
But it
not
just
a
made me
planned
realize
thing.
that, like, you know, as much as I would want to do that often, like, I can't because people just get so upset, and
Yeah.
it's so frustrating. I figured it's just easier to have a hard boundary with parents and be like, I'm sorry, I'd love to go get drinks with you, but I can't.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like even now sometimes when we have to have hard conversations with parents, sometimes I know there's a lot of people who are strong-willed. Like, I'm a strong-willed person. I can get pretty
Same.
snippy and hard-headed. But when I talk to parents, I try to be as reasonable and calm and level-headed as possible so I can, like, get their side of, like, how they feel and put myself in their shoes. But sometimes I still feel like when we have those, like, private conversations with parents that they still talk to me like I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And it's very irritating because it's like, clearly you trust trust us enough to pay this much money for your kid to do this sport and allow us to be your kid's coach, and you trust us to make your kid better and to have a relationship with your kid. But as soon as we have a conversation, you're going to talk to me like I'm 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that,
That's like,
it makes me feel so belittled.
Yeah.
And then it makes me feel like, okay, so you don't like me? You don't trust me? You
Yeah.
don't want me to
Yeah.
be your kid's coach? But it's, I don't know. And I know it's not like that because always muted myself. Because always at the
you turned it off. I was like, no.
because always at the end of the conversation, it's always like, thank you, you know, we love y'all and appreciate y'all. But like in the middle of the conversation, I'm like, please stop talking to me like that. Like,
Yeah.
please, like, I'm not stupid.
I remember
promise.
I've had one family come in there, and they brought dad, and dad never came to the gym. And I'm looking, and I'm like, you know, and then dad's like leading the entire conversation, just like talking down to me and everything else, and I wanted to be like, I'm sorry, what is your name?
You don't even go here.
Yeah, for real though. You know, so it's just, sometimes it's just really hard being a young gym owner. I think that's, I guess, the good part about getting old. is
Yeah.
that maybe people will actually start respecting me.
Yeah.
But, you know, but a lot, I mean, honestly, we're saying this, but majority of our parents are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they drop their kid off and they're like, bye. They're
Yeah.
yours. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are parents who have issues and they have called or texted or asked to have a meeting and have been so mature about it. Like, you recently had a phone call with a parent
Yeah.
and it went well.
Yeah.
And
Most of our conversations could be so productive if everybody just came in with, like, a clear head and
or just don't come
willing
in
to listen.
defensive.
Yeah.
Just don't be defensive right off the bat. Like, me and Katie are not here to shun you. We want to hear what you have to say,
Find a
figure out
solution.
what happened,
Yeah.
how can we fix it, how can we make things better. But when you come in super defensive, like,
I'm gonna be defensive too.
I try really, really hard to be nice.
Yeah.
But sometimes, most of the time, if you come in defensive and you're being rude to me, I'm probably gonna
Cass
be
is gonna lose her mind. She's gonna be rude back.
yeah, I'm gonna be pretty snippy back. And I have done that to parents before, but they were never rude and snippy ever again.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I am this way with athletes that have bad attitudes and students who have had bad attitudes. If you're gonna be snippy and rude to me, I will give it right back to you, and then it never happens again.
Yeah.
I mean, I have had a kid who was supposed to go to boot camp in 3rd grade, and
That's
mom
wild.
backed out last second. She was like, I can't send him, whatever. So then he moved up to 4th grade, and he was in my class. First 2 weeks was the worst thing in the entire world. So finally, I put him in the hallway. I handed him my cell phone. I said, here, press call. You're going to call your mom, because she spoke Spanish. And I was like, you're going to call your mom. You're going to tell your mom all the things that you've done wrong this week, and you're going to apologize to her for being an issue and taking time out of her day for her to stop what she's doing to listen to you. And I had another teacher who spoke Spanish make sure that he said all the things he was supposed to.
Yeah.
And after that, never an issue again. And he ended up becoming one of my closest kids that year.
Aww.
And so sometimes you got to get down on that level and let them know, like, no, you're not going to do that to me. I will not stand for it. And then it gets better.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like I've only had to do that like
once or twice.
Yeah.
In 5 years. That's not bad at
It's
all.
just hard to maintain those, parent and coach boundaries sometimes too, because like here, I probably have like how many people that are family that bring their kids here too, so that has been one of the hardest ones that I've had to deal with is having a family member bring their kid here, and then they didn't respect the boundary and they didn't like the outcome of it, no longer go here, but I still love them and want them to be the best. It just wasn't a good fit for us. But it just goes to show that if I'm gonna maintain that boundary
with family,
I'm gonna maintain it with everyone.
Yeah. That's how it goes. We cannot favor anybody. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, season 2, my niece, she was sick or something. She missed practice, had to miss practice, and I told her from the get-go, I was like, you missed practice, you're not competing this weekend. And
guess who didn't compete?
She didn't compete that weekend. Now, was my sister happy with me? Nar. We fought for like 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
But even though she wasn't competing that weekend, she had felt better by competition, and she at least came and supported.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like, I don't care if you're blood. Do not care. Like, my niece got my middle name, and I'm also her godmother at the same time, and she still didn't compete that weekend. So, I mean...
Yeah.
My niece spent 4 years on level 1.
Yeah.
Her niece,
I think I'm learning a boundary of, like, I like to say I'm a pretty nice person. Like, and sometimes I think I'm a overly nice person, and I let things slide.
Maybe also, yes.
Very easily. Sometimes I feel like I can be a rug and people will walk. But I'm learning as I am talking with parents and doing that stuff. I'm trying to be more strict when it comes. A big thing on attendance is I really have had to lay my foot down. I've let a few things slide. The biggest thing is like being sick. Like having like they'll say like, we're not coming to practice, so and so doesn't feel good, and I'm like, well, nope, you have to be here. But I'm gonna say I've been like, okay, that's fine, and I need to stop saying that. I need to stop saying it's fine.
I need
it's
a
not
doctor's
fine.
note.
Yes, and so and I've seen like so the parents that have hybrid kids, or like a sibling is on one side and the sibling's on the other, they respect me. They send doctor's notes. They give me notice. Their kid has never missed a practice.
You did the legwork.
No,
for
I
you.
appreciate it. So I'm trying. The ones
like
that
it goes both ways.
just do dance is not. It's not there yet.
But it's just because it's a new program.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
we
so-
struggle with that for the first 3 years.
Yeah, and I think they are in the mindset of like, oh, Miss Caitlin, she won't care. Like, it'll be fine. Like, and it's hard. I'm trying to get there.
Once you kick one friend off, they'll be like, oh, never mind. Yeah.
And
I think sometimes
yeah.
they don't think that we're going to do things, and then we do, and they're like, oh, you were serious.
Yeah.
No.
And I hate that it
writing.
had. I hate that it had to. It had to come to that, but that it has to come to that. Like in some situations,
we
and
never want to kick a kid off.
yeah.
Yeah, it just sucks sometimes.
And then I think I said this in another podcast. I wish they'd realize that like the behavior and the attendance and everything they do now will take effect when it comes to auditions. It will.
Oh, but it's also going to affect their whole season.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's not fair. It's not fair to the other kids on the team. Like, your kid didn't show up because they had a toothache. Like, okay.
take some Tylenol.
Yeah,
Tell
like,
them to talk.
I mean, we're teaching. That's a life lesson. I mean, if I have a toothache, I still have to come teach your kid.
Yeah.
Like, so that's not fair. If every time my body ached or every time my tooth ached or every time like I didn't feel good that day, I didn't show up. Like that's
we've had kids show up to practice with masks on.
Yeah.
And kids who were actively sick, but we told them, like, you got to be there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I love you. I truly do, and I want you to get better, but you've got to be there tonight.
Yeah.
I think the only times we've like let it slide is like if they're actively throwing up. Like we had a kid who came and it like all of a sudden hit her like
She ran
during
to the
practice.
bathroom.
She ran to the bathroom and started throwing up. I text mom. I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
go home.
Yeah.
You know, but at least she made effort to be there.
Yeah,
and stuff,
exactly.
but-
She felt bad coming to practice.
Yeah.
But she didn't say anything, and mom didn't say anything until I looked at her and I was like,
You good, boo?
are you okay? Because
Yeah.
they could just see it.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I feel sick to my stomach, and she just started crying. And I was like, ooh, yeah, you don't feel good
When it's, like, right here, you're like,
because she's
it's
not
coming.
the child to like,
Oh.
act
Yeah.
like that. And so, and then we were in a little huddle about to go full out, and all of a sudden she just starts sprinting to the bathroom. I was like, yeah, I think she's throwing up.
Yeah. Time to go home.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm working on it. I need to stop being so nice, and because it's biting me in the butt.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll find a happy medium. I think us three are a good little mix because Cass is like, no, never. And I'm like, maybe sometimes.
And Caitlin's like, it's okay.
I need to stop. I need to figure it out how to be mean, because I feel like I would get more of what I need and what I need for the program if I guess mean's not the word, just like, and I don't know if strict's the word either, just like,
I think parents just need to respect the policies we have in place.
Yeah.
And I mean, that has
I feel
nothing to
like,
do with
yeah,
you being mean. It's
they,
just
no,
saying,
they
hey,
threw it out the window.
here's my policy.
And I feel like I
Yeah.
need to go and
maybe they just need a little refresher.
remind them that they signed. And
Sometimes they do, and sometimes, I mean, that's the thing is, parents you cannot get mad when you're coming into the sport knowing
The expectations.
the expectations, knowing the code of conduct, knowing what you can and cannot do. You can't be mad when we call you out for breaking it. Like,
Yeah.
you can't. And so I think that's the issue is, for me, if you break the code of conduct, or if, you're arguing with us over a policy or a rule that's in place on a contract that you signed, that's gonna make me mad because you already knew that. You knew that.
yeah,
But if someone, breaks the code of conduct or whatever, and then you call them out on it, and they're like, I'm sorry, I know, I'm wrong. Gucci.
Yeah.
Gucci,
You
let's
can
move on.
Yep.
I think it's the parents who keep pushing back
Yeah.
and keep trying to argue with
Yeah.
us. I think that's when we have to get a little snippy and really put our foot down and become the bad guy.
Yeah.
But honestly, those parents who continue to push boundaries, do you really want them in your program?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, because
Yep.
eventually, I mean, I don't want to say they'll learn a lesson. I don't think they, like, someone who continuously pushes is not going to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
They're going to keep pushing,
Yeah.
And
I think with me, I didn't want it to get worse, and so I'm trying to stop it now.
Yeah.
Before it's like right before the competition, and they don't show, or I have to change the routine right there, and it's just not fair to the kids.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Until next time.
Keep your coffee hot.
And your toes pointed.
Podcast fam, dance hard, jam slam. Caffeine and moves, keep it tight, no sham.